Well, welcome everybody to the Tuesday night stream. It's just going to be a short one tonight. I'm working on the outboard wing. The inboard wing complete came out to 2¼ ounces, and so by the time we get the outboard wing done, we're going to be up to 4½ ounces. And you add the bell crank, that's 5½ ounces, and the control horn, that's 6½ ounces. The wingtips is 7, and the flaps, the way I'm going to make them, will be about a ½ ounce a piece, so that's about 8 ounces. So let's say with the hinges and all, this wing should be about 8½ ounces. Now you think, there ain't no way. Well, that's what I'm shooting for. We'll see what we can do. So, what I'm going to do tonight, and I've shown this before. I had a small faux pas, and I basically fixed it. Let's see here. Make sure that I'm streaming in the correct direction. Straightened out the trailing edge, and what I'm going to do now is I had to mill that 1/4 inch stick back there, so yeah, that's better, a better view there. Okay, let's see here. So, how you do that, and it's real simple, is with a roll of masking tape. I shown this on the other wing. So we're just putting some tape on here to protect this. This is a master air screw razor plane. I guess repetition. I've told this over and over and over again. Master screw razor plane. And you want this blade sticking out about 10 thousandths. Well, you can run your finger over it, and it's not going to cut you. A good sharp blade is also a good thing to have. And get comfortable. I wish the heck I had more room here to get comfortable, but I don't, so I'm not going to show how I cut those plywood ribs again in hand. I'll just do that off camera. Let's see exactly how thick this is. That'll tell you how far out the plane is sticking out. This blade is sticking out. I was pretty close. This sliver is 15 thousandths. And you'd be surprised how much material you can move at 15 thousandths a whack. And you want to just plane down till it touches the tape. Don't dig into the tape. The tape is there to protect your wood. We will then sand it with a long bar. I hope you guys learn that one trick per video. That'd be a good goal if I could just explain one thing per video. Okay, that's it. And I planed off about a 16th of an inch, 15 thousandths at a time. 16th of an inch is 6250. So that's 4 swipes of the plane takes a 16th of an inch off. Yeah. That's pretty close. Yeah, it's gonna dig in. I'm gonna have to sand it. So then you take your tape off. Now this is if you want a super nice model. Yeah, I better not plane it. It'll dig that sheeting on the back, and that's no good. If you don't have the Great Plains Easy Touch sanding bar, you need to get one. This is a 30. I have them in all different lengths, but a 30 is about right for the trailing edge. .320 paper, nothing too aggressive. I mean, you could probably have 220 on here, and it wouldn't hurt. That got that perfect. And we got to come back and sand this in when I put the cap strips on too. So you don't want to go too crazy because you're going to have several sandings on this. But you want to get it close. Remember I told you that I build the wings in 2 halves, and I haven't had any problems doing that. Basically, when you join a foam wing together, you're building it in 2 halves anyway. So this is a lost foam wing. Same concept. You're going to glue the 2 center ribs together. The only difference is you're going to cut the center rib out after it's glued together. Oh, we have somebody chatted something there. Oh, that's SD. What's going on? Yeah, I got a little. I'm gonna grind this off a little bit. A little more aggressive sandpaper. This is 80 grit. I don't suggest sanding on sheeting with 80, but I didn't get it quite down far enough, so we use that. These are Durablocks. This is like a piece of balsa wood. This is super light and super straight. And I'm just working the high spots now. I'm not trying to straighten it out. I'll go over it with the long bar when I get it down. Right there. Yep, it's loose. If you notice that, well, I can't do that because then I have to pick it up. We have to detail glue this yet. If you notice that you keep sanding and it doesn't come down, that means something's loose. Right here, I got sheeting that's loose, and I'll get that when I pick it up, turn it up, and detail glue it. Man, cannot get that right. There it is. When it gets down there, stop sanding. Don't keep sanding. I'll show you the other wing. This wing turned out perfect. This is the shear webbing is inside there. Got a couple scratches up here, but I don't want to. You don't want to sand on the sheeting. Once it's glued on, don't sand on it until after the tissue's on it. Otherwise, you'll end up with a starved horse look. You'll notice that there's no landing gear doors cut in this yet, but that's okay. We'll cut those in afterwards. And I'll show how to install those. And I've showed all this stuff before. Like I say, I keep saying, I just don't have enough time. I need to go back through all my videos, and I need to watch them and see which ones are valuable for learning, because I show how to gold leaf, I show how to ink, how to mold, I show how to make propellers or wheel pants. I don't think I show props. Made landing gear spinners. I'm going to show how to make teeth. If I ever get the alginate. My brother wants to know how to make teeth, so I'm going to do a teeth video. Oh, what do we got here? Oh well, it won't matter. Okay, let's see how we're doing here. This is the top. I need to glue some more inside here. I'll get a big bottle, get a new bottle of glue going. That other bottle is kind of out. Pour one to the next. I used to buy this stuff by the half pint, but I'm not building that much anymore, so the glue goes bad. I think these bottles are only really good for about 3 months. It's a better deal by the pint. It's $30 a pint, which is if people in the store only knew, super glue is $6 for a quarter ounce, when you can get a whole 2 ounces for $9 or $30 a pint. They'd freak out. And this is 10 times as good as super glue. So we're going to detail glue the inside of this. meaning that I hadn't I hadn't glued it all before, and you don't want to miss any spots because this is kind of where your structure's at. Just take your time. This model airplane building is really an easy deal, relaxing. You know, with everybody being locked up inside, you might as well do something constructive. Now, I'm considered an essential worker, so I'm still working. Fortunately, just hope don't come down with nothing. That'll be a disaster. If I was in motorcycles, I wouldn't be an essential worker. So that was a good thing to get out of that business. Okay, that's detail glued. It should be nice and solid. Let's get a weight on this, and it'll give you an idea where you need to be. That's why I weigh everything all the time. This should be about an ounce and a quarter. Yep, get off the glue. There we go. 0.95. So that's good. 0.95. I really like this aerosol spray kicker too. I used to buy that by the pint, but this aerosol spray kicker's pretty good. So what happened here? Okay, so now I can set it back in there and clean up the edge because it's all glued solid. You'll notice I keep setting it back in the cradle and pinning it down. The reason being is if we're going to sand it, let's have it in the cradle so we can sand it straight. If you sand it in your hand, you might sand a whoop in it. Anybody got any questions? I still need to put in the hinge blocks for my hinges. I keep getting asked about these stupid hinges. It's real simple. I've done videos on them. These are my hinges. Lollipops. 3/8 diameter circle with an 1/8 inch tail. Real simple. If you go to, I can't remember the CNC cutter on Vendor's Corner, he has my permission to cut you my hinges. Just tell him you want some of Sparky's hinges, and he'll cut you a hinge pack, about $30 for a lifetime supply. It takes 15 hinges per airplane. I used to sell them. They're just too much of a pain in the rear to make. Let's see. Build a Conrail Mountain branch. Yeah. No, I don't build any train stuff. Only airplane stuff. It seems like I'm not doing that enough anymore. Make sure that, yeah. And you wonder, what am I doing here? I'm trying to make sure that I haven't sanded so far that the cap strip is going to be, yeah, we're fine. So I want to get the other side, so I have all the patterns. I have all the patterns in the other cradle. So we'll take this cradle here. I'm not going to show it, but I'll explain it to you. Take this cradle here, put it in the other on the top, turn it over, leave the patterns in this, and bring the top back. Like so. This is the top cradle. So we could turn this over and sand the other side. Okay. You always want to put the shims back in it, because that represents your sheeting thickness. Otherwise, the wing is in a twist. And then we'll pin it to the cradle. This system builds such an accurate wing. It's laser straight, super simple. Got to thank Bob Hunt for coming up with that idea. Wish it was mine, but it ain't. Now here I've gone a little low. I probably could glue. I could glue a 1/16 on there. Let's see here. I don't want to break into a new piece of wood. Looks like I'm going to have to. I got this trailing edge on a little warped, and this is basically inside the fuselage, and nobody would see it. But see, I know it's there, so we got to fix that. So what I'll do is I'll scab a piece on and sand it off. It's inside the fuselage and on the bottom. Nobody would ever see that except me. So I'm going to use a little slow set CA. I will guarantee you won't be able to tell now. Don't settle for anything. Always, try for perfection. You can't make them perfect, but you gotta try. That this piece of wood that I'm shaving off here will be about 5,000 thick when I get done planing it. But it'll be lighter than putty. Let's see. Nope. Nobody said anything else. We got 7 watchers and 4 likes. If you're watching this, make sure you like, subscribe, share the videos. Super chats help. Patronize the advertisers, so on and so forth. And that was almost not even worth it. Be like 2,000. If you'll notice there, I started to plane into the tape. Start doing that, you better stop. I get this planed off. I'm going to set the wing together. I'm not going to put it together. I'm just going to set it together and make sure that I have my center rib fitment perfect before I put the front sheeting on, which will not be done tonight because I have to make 2 landing gear half ribs. And there won't be enough time tonight. It's late. And that piece that I glued in there is gone already. So it wasn't as bad as I thought it was. I'm going to try to make this one as nice as my Thunderbolt was, which is going to take a bunch, but I've already thought of a way to make the exhaust part of the fuselage. Not just painted on, it'll be integrated into the fuselage for a no weight penalty. As a matter of fact, probably for a weight savings because it'll be cut away. And I'll show you what I'm going to do there when I do it. And I'm sure I'll get, that ain't going to work. Yeah, it will. It's only wood. Okay. That's pretty good. I know this is not as interactive as Rusty's meetings, And I wish you were here to see how laser straight it is. But if you look down that, I can't get it up there. How can I show that? It is laser straight, right straight down there. And the whole wing will be that way. So now I got to get the other cradle back because we're done with that side. I'll get the skin prepared for this side too. Well, I made a lot of progress in a half an hour. Okay, back to the bottom. I need to clear this off. I just don't have any room. We won't need these. I think I've done pretty good for building in a. I mean, it's super tiny here. The room is 10 foot wide by 15 foot long. It's 150 square foot probably. And it's filled with airplanes. I've built, let's see, 4 combat wings. And we're working on the 4th full-size stunner here, plus a profile. So for a guy who's not building much, I'm building quite a few. I just love to do it. I just love to do it. So I want to make sure that it mates up perfectly and that it's straight. So I got these, I go to Harbor Freight and I buy these little spring clamps and pull them 2 ribs up because we're making up the difference for the sheeting. I don't have the sheeting on this yet. We'll get that cut up. And sight down this, make sure that the trailing edge is straight or straight enough that you can sand any of the hoops out of it. What do we got going on here? Oh, I know why. It's not blocked up. It is now. Yep, it'll be straight. I'll have to get a long bar and straighten it out. But I have this meter ruler. It's longer than a yard. At home, I have a 72-inch straight edge. But this tells you how far it's out. It's out probably. It's out probably 10 thousandths, 15 thousandths. I probably could measure it even. Not even the thickness of your fingernail, it's out. So we're in good shape there. Now, I've shown the molding of this leading edge. I think it was probably, oh, I don't know, it was probably about the second or third video. And this one's already been done, but we're gonna release it out of the cradle here. It's well dried. Now remember this sheeting, once it comes off this buck, you can't, oh, thank you for the super chat. That was from Scott. Thank you very much. We appreciate it. It helps me keep Rusty going, basically. Yeah, I see that I have a super chat. The screen is behind me, so I can't watch the computer and watch what I'm doing. I don't have any. I don't have a 12-year-old production agent. Now I'm going to give you a little insight here. This Ace bandage, when you use an Ace bandage, it leaves kind of a porous imprint on the wood. Because the wood's soft and you're really putting a lot of pressure on it. Well, here's another hat tip to Al Rabe. Al Rabe uses bed sheets. He tears the bed sheets 2 inches wide, and instead of using Ace bandages, he uses the bed sheets, and the cotton doesn't leave those imprints in the wood. So that comes from Al Rabe. That's not my idea. But now I'm going to set this out of the way. I'll set this over on the piano. Yes, I still have the piano, Steve, but I'm going to give it to the neighbor. And we'll get the cradles back. It's kind of important that you do all your work in the mold buck, in the cradle. That keeps everything straight. And like I say, it's laser straight. This is a 3/8 piece of glass, been shimmed straight. So glass doesn't bend normally. If it does, you're breaking it. So put it back in the buck. I use this long block here. And you want to sand in a... You don't want to sand grain. If you sand this way, you'll put flats in it. It'll look like a diamond. But if you sand around the corner, so you're going in this direction here, it's kind of like, I don't know how many of you guys have ever been mechanics or whatever, but if you hone a cylinder, you want a 45-degree crosshatch in the hone pattern. So we're going around this way, and that's taking all those, this is 320 paper, it's taken all those marks of the ace bandages out of the wood. So you go this way, then we're going to turn it around the other way. So we've sanded this direction. Now we're going to sand this direction so we get an X crosshatch. And that keeps from getting flats in it. Unfortunately, when you join the sheeting, you get because I use CA, you get a hard spot. And the only way you can get that out is when the covering's on it. So don't keep sanding. Don't try to get that out of there. You got to get everything hard. Okay. And it doesn't take much. But you can't sand this again. So any sanding you're going to do, you got to do now. If you sand it after it's on the wing, it'll have cups in it. It'll look terrible. Now, when I'm trimming these up, you'll notice that I've made it as long as the buck, and it kind of goes around the buck, so there's plenty of extra. But when I trim them up, I still leave a 1/4 inch more than you need. Put them on the wing and trim them after they're on the wing. That way you can trim right up to the spar. If that makes sense. Otherwise, you're carrying around extra wood, or you've cut it too short. So I've eliminated all those marks now. Got a little spot right here. So now there's marks on the buck here. Let me see here. There's marks on the buck, and you want to cut it even past that mark. You're just trimming off the super excess that you had on there. So we'll leave that there. I mean, like I say, I leave a 1/4 inch extra. Straight edge up on there. Balsa. Boy, that dust to get you. Shoot. Okay. Turn it over, mark the other side. Now tonight I'm not, like I said, I'm not going to be able to glue this on because I haven't made those plywood ribs. Now I did show that in, what's going on here? Why? Oh. I did show that in the other video where I built the first half of the wing, where Charles about had a heart attack cutting those ribs holding that saw. And it's probably not the best way to do things, but I do have a little experience at doing this. I'm going to run about 10 more minutes. I'll shut it off and be back tomorrow night for Tucker Wednesday. Just what I'm doing here is I'm just showing you that in an hour a day, you can, just like my other Tucker, you can build a really nice airplane in just an hour a day. I hear a lot of, I don't have time. Well, I don't have time either, but I have the desire. Okay, come on. Got dihedral in it. Okay. So, I'll take this out. I'm just fitting it on here. I'm not, like I say, I'm not gluing it on tonight. I'm just trying to get an idea, the weight, and is it going to fit well? If you look here, you see how much I've left over. I mean, there is a lot to cut off there. But that's okay. I got a lot of taking off tools, but I don't have any putting back on tools, except glue, and then you got a hard seam or whatever. So that looks pretty good. Let's get a weight on it. We'll see where our wing, what the wing's weighing right now. This one was 2 1/4. And this one here should be 2 ounces. Should be. Here we are, no room again. .65 ounces. 1.75. So by the time we get the spreaders in here, by the time I get the spreaders in here and the other ribs in, it'll weigh the same as this. So like I say, that's 2 1/4. That's 4.5 ounces for a wing. I've seen guys on the forum that are super proud, and it's all well and good. I'm just trying to give you an idea where you need to be, where they're super happy that their wing is 10 ounces in this state. Well, if you're going to build a super light airplane, it's got to be a lot lighter than 10 ounces. So obviously, after all this gets trimmed up and sanded, it'll fit together perfect. The thing will be laser straight. I'll be a happy camper, and we'll be on our way to a giant tucker. I'll be running the Brian Gardner Super Tiger 60 in it, which is this motor right here. It's a Randy Smith Venturi PA needle valve spray bar. Where's my spinner? It's here. These are the unobtainium carbon fiber spinners that I guess John does more of the work, but John and I make them. So that's the package that'll go in that airplane. This was a Randy Smith muffler that fit an Enya or something, and all I did was bolt the front bolt on and re-drill the back bolt. Probably going to end up cutting the back half of the tang off just to clean it up some. But this is the same muffler that's on my Junar XL. So trying to make it the same. Trying to make it. I'm just so pleased with how the XL flies. Let's see. I had a. Okay. I have a piece for the trailing edge of my elevator stabilizer cut. So we'll be working on that too shortly. That'll be a plate stab, geodesic inside, sheeted. The covering on this is going to be that $15 a sheet free flight Japanese tissue. I need to find that guy's address again. That stuff is great. It's unbelievable stuff. 3 coats and it's ready for paint. Of course, I got the Performance Coatings primer that comes out of St. Louis. Going to mix that with xylene and use that primer on this. So this is kind of an experimental type thing where I'm going to try new products. I really sad that they got rid of our DC540. This is the last can that I have. It's about 3/4 full. But I was going over it. It has the same ingredients as the gallon can that I have here. And boy, this can is super heavy. Premium Performance Coatings, TCI. It looks like they came via FedEx, and it looks like they kicked it off the dock at 100 miles an hour. The can's just about ripped wide open. Before I go too much farther, I'm going to have to clean this place up because I got sawdust, shavings, and wood kind of everywhere. So that might be tomorrow night's project before I go on. But I appreciate you spending your time with me tonight. And I really appreciate the super chat, Scott. And if I can answer any questions, all you have to do is ask me here or on the forum. And that'll be basically it for this evening. So, till I see you tomorrow night, fair winds, tight lines. See ya.